TruthSeekah and/or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and/or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark's at it!
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark's at it stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Thank you guys for joining me this beautiful day. I cannot go any further without saying a huge thank you to everyone who is supporting my work via Patreon. And so this is people who are giving month to month, different levels of giving, anywhere from $1 to $10, $30, whatever you feel, whatever you're able to do. This is the people who are supporting me, who are funding me to continue to make music, to continue to buy beats, to continue to make podcasts. I'm doing this full time. This is what I do. I'm walking in that, and you guys are enabling me to do so. It's free to listen to the podcast. It's not free to make. All of this stuff costs money. And then, like I say, even the music. So as far as on the music side, there is a bunch of new music at patreon.com/TruthSeekah. We got new music. I just put up a new song yesterday entitled Alpha. And you have to understand what that name means, that title means. You have to listen to the song. And so it kind of explains everything. I don't want to give it away. It's kind of cool to kind of listen to the song and find out what it means. So if you like to check out some of the new music and help support what I'm doing, head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. And there's a couple songs there that aren't released to the general public featuring today's guest. And you can download those tracks that aren't released to the general public yet. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring in the guest today. A good friend of mine, someone who was a huge inspiration. I really look up to this guy. Many of you know him. We've been working together for a while. We've done personal healing sessions together. We've gotten groups of individuals together at my home. We've rented buildings and had him come through via Skype to lead holotropic breathing sessions, conscious connected breathing, yoga sessions, and had an amazing time. This is somebody I really look up to, guys. I'm telling you, my hat is off. When we mention spirituality or people just being themselves, man, you're the first person that comes to mind, and I try to name drop you every chance I get. Illuminati Congo, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Much gratitude, TruthSeekah.
Man, it's good to connect again. Like I said, we've been building for a while. Got some tracks that when I first got into the esoteric mysticism stuff, putting that in my music, you were one of the first people I reached out to get on my album, Awaken the Fire. So we connected way back when. And then my process, my journey, there was a point in time where I come out of the Christian church and dealing with all that knowledge and the backlash that I got from my community, they crucified me. And then so I tried to get rid of all of that knowledge, all of that info stuff, and get rid of it. And many of you guys seen that I had videos of just getting rid of anything LCOB, anything esoteric, anything that was not Christian oriented. Jahn seen that video. I was burning books. what's your take on that, man? Kind of fill people in on when you've seen that.
Well, all information is really just as useful as you make it, and so I didn't feel any type of way about it. There was a time when I was in the Christian church long ago, and I remember I destroyed my De La Soul tapes. This was when I was like 7th or 8th grade, and it was all the stuff that I destroyed was all just Tribe Called Quest. It was real easy stuff, easy listening. It wasn't nothing too hardcore, but
it wasn't Christian. Yeah,
it wasn't Christian. So I was there in that mode at a time, and really, I understand there's cycle and a season for everything. Sometimes you got to get rid of certain information and only focus on what is working for you or what resonates with your heart. And sometimes you have to explore just that path as it is without any other influences. And so I understand that, and I didn't really feel any type of way about it. It was confusing. You know, I see people do it, similar things, and it's confusing at times, but confusion leads to co-fusion or the integration. And so I just bless it and see it as a stepping stone in the initiation and learning process.
Exactly, man. That's a good word you just said, the whole confusion place. Because coming out of the Christian church, like there's things that we've learned, and then coming out of that, we got to unlearn. The word confusion in those circles are a bad thing. I remember being like in Bible studies with people, and if somebody's bringing something different that they've never heard, it's a little deep, even in the Christian circles, there would be people who didn't get it. And understanding that, they would say, okay, I'm confused. They would link that with the scriptures that say confusion is not of God. I am not the author of confusion, right? Obviously, all things work together, and we can really tie that in on how, confusion is a good thing there. But they see that as a bad word. I'm confused. This isn't of God. And they check out. This doesn't make sense. I'm confused. You're confusing me. But until we get to a point that we are confused, we're not going to search for the truth and search for the answers. So essentially, totally backward to that thinking, confusion is not a good thing, but a great thing.
For sure. It can be a catalyst for going beyond the addictions and the contradictions.
That's good, man. So much we can talk about. Like I said, we got a couple songs that we've worked on that aren't released yet. I plug my Patreon. They're there for you guys who want to hear them, and there's so many people supporting you guys. We're getting great feedback, and I can't wait to release those tracks to the general public, man. We did one about the angels among us, which dude, I'm itching to get that track out to the public. It's
I love that song myself. That's why I'm looking forward to recording a little piece for it for the video.
Yeah, we're stepping our video game up, man, with everything that we're doing, and we've been talking about some ideas for some of the songs that we have together. Even some of the older ones, kind of revisiting them to make them happen. It'd be awesome, dude, if we did something for that Imaginatrix where you embodied Pan. You know what I'm saying? Came up with the outfit and everything. And I know we just said that just for the sake of, not for the sake of wearing it, but when you listen to the song and the lyrics that you came with. So just imagine you coming in as an entity, and maybe even you channeled those lyrics. I don't know, but you came in, you said, I'm not from this place. I'm from inner space. So you're basically coming in, introducing yourself as another being and explaining where you came from, man. So my gears are working. It's like, okay, how can we make this happen to be something beautiful? And I was thinking, man, and you guys in the chat room, I know most of you guys know this song too. Give us some feedback. So maybe like we're finding some ancient manuscripts on pan, and we can print out some old works and make them look like old relics, or maybe find it buried somewhere. And we're reading rituals on how to summon pan. And so my verse comes first, and maybe we do that in the video, and then we do this initiation ritual, summon pan, and then your verse comes in, and you just come in. I ain't from this place.
That sounds like a good imagery.
Man, that's a beautiful song, man. Everything that we've done together, not to puff your head up, but definitely to puff your head up. You need to be commended, man. Everything that we've done together has always been beautiful. It's been amazing. And your work ethic. When you say you're going to do something, you do it, right? And you do it quick. There's never been a time where we got Jahn on a track for a feature where we had to wait 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 6 months, things like this. He's got it. He knocks it out, man. So I commend your work ethic, all the positivity that you bring to the community. You have enabled me and encouraged me to seek after my dreams, and to see you. And it's a couple of people that come to my mind. One is Joe Rogan, who talks about this all the time, about finding what you love and do that. And I think you embody that, to whether it's hip hop, whether it's the healing arts, and just taking everything that you love and not trying to be like, okay, I'm a guru, I'm a yogi, I'm only in this lane, but I do a little bit of it all, and I am who you get, man. So to see, I think the world envies that when they see somebody walking in their calling and being authentic, man. So that is envious, man. And seeing what you have and what you've built over the years, and your dedication, your study, your learning, and sticking with it, consistency, dude. Hats off, man. I know I'm getting long with him, dude, but I definitely want to say thank you again for just being you, really, man.
Thank you. That's encouraging and edifying, and I receive it, and I ground it, and I expand it, and it must be a reflection of things in you and ways of you, because we can't really notice things outside of us that we're not resonating with inside anyhow. So
I always tell people that I can't give anything that I don't already possess. So whether it's, going through something, and then if you've been through a lot of stuff and you kind of get the revelation and you understand how universal law works, how cause and react works. And so you understand that, whether you're going through a tough time, the outcome. It's about trusting, about keeping perfect peace and seeing yourself through it, and really tapping in what we use, going into the spirit realm, whether it's through trance state, meditation, conscious connected breathing, these things that you teach and you've taught me to bring into my life, have totally helped. And then so listening to some of your newer music as well. I want to say your most recent music, but you have 2 projects. You have Health, Wealth, Knowledge of Self, which that's one I'm digging that. But then you also have a new one as well called All Is Tantra. There's a song on there kind of related to the laws of the universe, universal law, and it's called The 4 Laws of Wealth. Mm-hmm. And that song is essentially a mantra that, I think words are so powerful, man. So that song in particular, I don't know how often you revisit it, if you do it live or you teach it to people, but man, that song is so powerful to us to be able to recite blessings over ourselves and to change our thinking about money and about people wanting to give us money. Not like, how can we hustle money? How can we try to get money from people? But there's people who want to bless you. There's people who their ministry, they're a blessing so that they can bless others, and to align yourself with that. Your song 4 Laws of Wealth is a powerful song, man.
Thank you. The 4 Laws of Wealth I learned from Leonard Orr, one of my main teachers, and so that song and the other song on that album, I'm Alive Now, are both directly from the influence of the affirmations that we use in the rebirthing breathwork community. And so I wanted to put ideas. A lot of those are affirmations that are used already. Some of them were my own affirmations mixed in. And I just wanted to couple those together because ideas are the source of all wealth and the source of all forms, the source of all creation. It comes from the imagination, relating back to the imaginatrix. I have another album that I released just recently called, at the same time as All Is Tantra, called Intergalactic.
Okay,
and
yeah.
I have a song on there that that backs up the same thing, backs up the wealth laws too, and it says, "Ja children not go beg, steal or borrow. Do what you love and the money will follow. We not go wallow, suffering or wait for tomorrow. Love what you do and the money will follow." So do what you love and the money will follow. Love what you do and the money will follow. So you can love right where you at and the money is going to come and it'll help you do what you love.
Yeah.
They go together.
Yeah.
Because I've been in places where I wasn't working where I wanted to work. And then I was like, you know what? Let me love what I'm doing right now so that I can develop the qualities that will serve me no matter what I'm doing. That's being a genuine, authentic person. And it worked.
Yep.
It helped me the transition from doing stuff that wasn't really my thing to doing my thing and loving it all the way.
There's a big paradigm shift there. So I come from the Christian community. I know you do too. And there's a couple different streams of thought there, but there was a big one that crept in that was ugly when it comes to that stuff, was the prosperity gospel. And so you have the people like Creflo Dollar, maybe some of T.D. Jakes, but there's a lot of people. Bishop Eddie Long was in on it, and it was all about. It was this thing about getting money, and all the focus and attention was on money and using religion or using God to get what you want. But what made it so, it seemed kind of wicked there. It wasn't a purity there. It seemed wicked because it taught these principles that those who seek after money will never have enough. It's like you never are content where you are. So there's this once you get this job, okay, you want the better job. Once you get in this building high rise, you want to get in the main office. And they taught these weird schemes on how to do that and how God wanted you to do that. So there's that system versus the other side of the poor righteous teacher, and that a man of God, a person of wisdom, a guru, they shouldn't have any money because money is wicked. Money is evil. You have to sell your soul for the riches and stuff. And I think both of those are definitely extremes, and I think both of them are wrong. But there's a balance there. How do we go from this crazy, I guess we can call it ungodly belief program that's running there, that money is evil, that as a righteous person shouldn't be affiliated with the things of the world and you shouldn't care about those? How do we have that right attitude when it comes to money? I know your music helps, but I mean, how do we change our thinking on that?
Well, wealth is what we are. We are infinite wealth already. And so to have a desire and a determination to produce monetary income and to flourish financially is a good thing. I mean, we can go to the Bible and find all types of quotes that would back up the fact that living abundantly, fruitful, and multiplying is the way of source. We can also find in the Bible how greed and avarice, avarice can actually prevent you from experiencing your wealth. Because our true wealth is what? Seek ye first the kingdom, and all good things shall be added unto you.
Mm-hmm.
And so our first wealth is the kingdom, and the kingdom is not there. It's not outside, it's within. And so what is the kingdom? For me, the kingdom is bliss. It is eternal bliss and ecstasy. And so if I seek that within, how can I find that within? I do the things that help bring that within, so that what's out there can be on the same frequency. So I could be on the same frequency as the wealth that I would like to attract out there, because there's nothing really out there. It's all in the kingdom.
You got to understand that. Yeah.
There's nothing out there per se. That's more just a perception.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's all within us, I mean, we could go back to the Bible. We could use the Bible all day. Unto the pure, all things are pure.
Yeah.
And so wealth is pure. Money is pure. Well, so what makes a relationship with money harmful?
Yeah.
That's when you don't have a relationship with the kingdom, with the kingdom of love, compassion, imagination, the kingdom of presence. What's the presence? That is the accepting, forgiving, loving, healing presence of source, infinite intelligence, aka God, aka Christ, aka you and me when we live in alignment.
It's beautiful that you say that, because those who demonize the whole money thing, they got to understand that it doesn't say that money is the root of all evil. I know many people have quoted it that way, but it says the love of money, this over infatuation where you're ready to kludge somebody out of their position to get what they got. Like that's wicked. To envy another man's belongings, that you will do harm to him to get it, or to do whatever it takes, no matter what you have to do to get it. That's evil. That's wicked. So the scripture says is the love of money. And I'm sure that word love wasn't even the word of agape. Exactly. It was the word of lust or desirous. Phileo. Yeah. And because if you can have an unconditional love for money, that's a different thing. That's that impartial view for everything, where you don't attach anything bogus. You just view it as it is. And that's what viewing money through true love, that's what it is. It's just what it is. Viewing money through lust, then it's something that we think is going to help us, when money doesn't help us. Only creativity, love, compassion, ingenuity, that's what help us. So when we're looking at the whole money thing, and I mentioned it a while ago, you know, they always like preach this notion that even without saying it, like you can never have enough. There's always more, get more and get more. So we find ourselves in this place that I believe, so the scripture says that it says this in Timothy, it says godliness with contentment is great gain, right? So to be content where you are, but still have the ambition to pursue the things that you're called to do, the dreams and visions that are within you to manifest them. Like, how do we stay? And this is a little war here, like a dichotomy. How do you remain content? I found ways to do it, but how do you remain content with still saying, okay, there's things that I want to accomplish and I have to work hard. So how do I keep that drive and not get stagnant and like, hey, I'm just going to stay here, to be content, but still have the ambition as well? Well, the Bhagavad Gita speaks very well on this, is to do your work, but don't be attached to the results of your work.
don't be attached to the results of what you do, but to do it, do your best. So that's one thing that I always use. That helps me be content. I have desires, I have works and things I'd like to manifest in my life, but I'm not attached to the results of those things. I'm more so in love with the journey, more so in love with the actual doing of it, and the results are found in the doing of it. That's why I'm content, because my heaven, my paradise is in the actual practice. And that's one of my main ways of finding contentment. And then also knowing that desire, there'll never be an end of desire as long as people are embodied. We're going to desire things in one way or another. And so I accept that. I accept that desire is not bad.
We talk about doing psilocybin mushrooms and reading The Alchemist, and those two have something really in common as far as chasing your dreams, understanding time, how time works, if it's real, if it's an illusion. But there's a sense of urgency there to, like, not to waste it. Like, life is precious, don't waste it. The things that you want to do, go ahead and pursue them and do them. And those two for me have lit a fire within me to embrace the now moment, which I think the other realms like to refer to it as. But dealing with that and having a burden, not only for yourself, but to help other people reach that place as well, right? And teach them principles, practical examples that work, not theories. And to some people on the outside, it may seem like a theory until you get into it. Whether you get into breath work, it's okay. How can breathing help me achieve my goals? How can breathing help me to change my thinking or to be in alignment? And there's so much science and spirituality there, but it works. But I want to go a step further and just talk about how having empathy and compassion for other people. How do you look at people like that? Because I remember when it was first happening to me, and I had it for me. Like, I wanted to pursue my dreams, and I seen them. They came back to my vision, and the universe aligns with you and teaches you how to pursue them, what to do. Patience. Okay, you have to learn these principles, and then I'm going to open up doors. And essentially, the universe becomes a teacher, God, a Holy Spirit, prana, which works through everything. It becomes this beautiful song and dance. But to look at the other people, so I would see people, my bosses at the time when at the job I was working, and to see them old, grumpy, knowing that, man, they had a dream too, and that they've lost. And it's really empathetic. Like, if you dwell on it, you see how they gave up on their dream. And it even brought tears to my eyes to, like, okay, when are you supposed to give up on your dreams? When are you supposed to say, okay, I've tried long enough and this shit ain't working? Like, okay, let me just bustle into this 9-to-5 and be a good employee. Obviously, you're going to be wherever you are, do it as you're doing it unto the Lord, right? But when do you give up on it? So there's this crazy empathy where I'm just driving through traffic and seeing this system that's built where people are going to work where they don't want to be. I'd say, and maybe my number's wrong, but I'm going to say 95%. Maybe that number's way off, and this may be where I need help. To look at people and see them stuck in positions where they don't want to be, where they gave up on the dream. Like, how do you reckon that? Because I talk with my wife, and she helps me with this, and she says, well, there's some people who enjoy working at McDonald's. Like, it brings a smile to their face. They love being needed, and they're content there. I almost assume that everybody has that inward drive to create and to manifest like I do. How do you reconcile that with everybody else, man, and know, who to deal with and things, man,
Well, there may be people who want to do some different things, and everyone is where they're at based on ways of thinking and believing prior to where them getting to where they're at. And so that was an experience. Working at McDonald's was an experience that person wanted. And no matter who even if you want to be somewhere else, you're like, yo, I hate working at McDonald's. Something about you wanted that experience to manifest. That's why you're there. Now, as far as the dreams go, did you give up your dream did a person give up to work their 9 to 5 or to work at a fast food restaurant? Sometimes they're working towards their dreams, and they're just doing that 9 to 5 to support that. Mm-hmm. But what happens is when we try to start supporting that with a 9 to 5 or with driving with Lyft or Uber or whatever, if we lose sight of what we're trying to do, we can end up spending too much time doing the other thing and not doing our own thing. And it's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle, searching for $1, trying to pay the bills. There's so many reasons why people could get stuck doing in things that aren't their main forte of what they really want to do. And getting stuck in those things does sort of prevent the world from reaching its full potential its full potential for harmonious relations around the world. I feel that everyone has some type of creative spark that can help bring almost like a utopia.
Yeah.
It may seem a little idealistic with this view, but I just believe in the goodness of people and in the creativity of people and in the uniqueness of people. And I see that we have things to contribute that could help with issues that we might not have that the next person might have never even viewed it that way. Mm-hmm. So how can we help people? It's by doing what you're doing, by doing what I'm doing, by being the best we can be in our own field. And like I said, loving what you do and doing what you love. If we're in a place that we don't like, love what you do there. Yeah. And love is going to be that balm that allows creativity and prosperity and opportunities to come forth. That love will do it every time. Just loving what you do.
Let everybody know that the phone lines are open. We have a lot of people in the chat room, a lot of fans of TruthSeekah, a lot of fans of Illuminati Congo. I think they go hand in hand, man. It's so beautiful. But phone lines are open. If you guys have a question for Jahn, Illuminati Congo, or myself, give us a call. If you just want to say hello, the phone lines are open for you to do that, to take advantage. The number is in the description and going across the top of the screen. So dealing with that, like I call that default. Like we just kind of get in autopilot and we're here by default. We're definitely there for a reason, to learn. Because if you don't learn from that season and that place that you're in, you're bound to make those same choices and keep taking that test, is what I call it, over and over. You'll find yourself, okay, I'm not at McDonald's, but I'm at Burger King, or I'm at Hardee's, or you're at these other places which you don't want to be, right? And you keep finding yourself in these places where these things are recurring over and over. And it's like, okay, what's going on? Am I just a failure? I'm just a mess up. Like, am I not destined to have anything good in my life? My father, he didn't have anything. He struggled, and he didn't ever own anything. So people have these ways of thinking. And I like how just even in conversation a while ago, you went back to the solution. of like, okay, this is how, because you mentioned it just in conversation about how to come out of it. And so it's talking about the ways that we're thinking and the things that we're doing over and over, even subconsciously, are creating this life that we're living. And so that's default. Most of us are in that by default. We don't know how to turn it off. Is it possible? Am I going to be this way forever? But you teach tons of methods, and they work, about how to retrain the brain, to retrain the mind, and to focus on the now moment, which where all the power is to do that through conscious connected breathing. So talk a little bit about the power to retrain your brain, to retrain the way that you think, and to bring about essentially whatever you want into this reality and make it manifest.
Well, I'll give a quick example based on my latest creation, and that's me and my lady. We just gave birth at home in our tub with no midwife, no nurse, no doctors, no one. All we used was connected breathing, relaxation, hypnobirthing. We trained our mind for months before baby came with scenes of pleasurable, easy births and information that supported that. We didn't take in any information from people that supported complicated births or complications or anything of that nature. And if we ever had any fears related to those things, we would breathe and talk about them and find roots of these fears together. During the labor, we used the breath, and I'm not going to say there wasn't pain. She did feel intense surges of pain, but also intense surges of pleasure and ecstasy. And our baby came out in a wonderful, gentle way. And births that are usually, if you look around, you're not going to hear about situations like that happening that easily. Why? Because people aren't using the power of the breath and the power of the mind to their advantage. Those are the main powers we have available to us. Like, fuck the religion and the philosophy, the ideas and beliefs. The breath, if you could stop believing anything you believe in right now, and you'll still live. Stop breathing for 10, 20 minutes and see what happens. So you can stop believing and thinking all the bullshit you believe in, but stop having awareness. Stop having awareness and you're dead. Awareness is primordial to the thoughts and the ideas about awareness, the ideas about life. And the breath is before any name we could ever say, before anything we could ever do, there has to be breath. There has to be the circulation of energy, which is breath. So those two things are the most important to build with, from my perspective. And I've had most of my greatest breakthroughs, whether I'm using mushrooms or cannabis or using no other plant ally, just the breath. I'm always using the breath. If I'm using mushrooms, I use the breath to go deeper. If I'm building with the cactus, I only take just a tiny bit. And the breath is what allows me to really go deep. I've healed through the breath myself many times. And my son, if he was here, my big son, I would tell him to come give some testimonies about the laying on of hands with the breath work. and how that can actually heal things immediately. I've had many miracles with that.
Oh yeah.
So I'm a devotee of the breath of life. I'm a devotee of breath, life, and awareness.
Yeah. And you do seminars, you lead yoga, and people can book private sessions with you through Skype to do it for private one-on-one or to lead group sessions as well. We've done many, and I'm telling you guys, well worth it. And what he's talking about is the real deal. This is the science behind the spirituality, and this is it. What he's saying has some weight to it. I'm trying to think of a pun with breath. He's not blowing smoke. So I wanted to talk about too, because you touched on birthing, and you talking about welcoming your new child into this realm, and congratulations again, said publicly. Last night, I had an interview with Hope Medford of Medicine for the People, Nako Bear. Many people know who that group is. She's amazing. I've got a song with her as well. But she is actually a midwife, and she's a drummer. She's really big into percussion. She has been to Egypt, and she lived in Africa for some time with families, being a midwife, and I think she said she's participated in over 450 births. Yeah. So it's awesome. I'm going to share that interview with you because I picked her brain on some of this stuff, and it was good. But she's basically talking about the same thing you are, as far as like in the birth area, as far as the energies, and she works to set up to make sure everything's peaceful, and the music and the drumming and the candles or whatever the person wants. So it's really beautiful. But I wanted, so she had to go, but there was a segue there that I wanted to get into with her. So I'll segue it from her conversation to this conversation, because you talk about this a lot as well. Birthing trauma, because you talk about getting over trauma, childhood wounds and fears and things that were done to us. And, we've been the victim of predators and people who had different malicious intent. We have to get over that. We have to learn. We have to grow through it and be healed from it. So childhood trauma, birth trauma, particularly. And we love to talk about entities in the other realm and kind of give them their due. Many people are so-called having these UFO alien abduction encounters where they wake up in their bed, or they wake up on a ship, put it this way. They're on a ship and they feel like these weird men, these entity-looking people are watching over them, and they call it an alien abduction. There's a lot of info out there that this could be people reliving their birth trauma and being snatched from the birth canal, and the doctors and everyone looking at you, and they have scalpels in their hands and different utensils, and they're watching you, and the big eyes and all in your face and stuff. I don't know if there's any connection there, if you've studied that at all, but talk a little bit about that and kind of relate that back to, birth trauma and what it is and how we're dealing with it.
Well, to first speak on the alien theory, it's also possible because thought produces results and thought creates our reality, that our birth trauma may have even caused, through our thinking, actual experiences of those entities through the fear added to the experience. So it may not just be like a
memory,
a hallucinatory. It might not just be a fake memory. Yeah. I don't know how to say the word I was going to say, but it may be more of a case of actual things being created based on masses of birth trauma thoughts. Now, birth trauma happens for just about every birth. Our baby had the most gentle birth, and he still had birth trauma, because to pass through that birth canal, that's a traumatic experience. Like your head has to go. The bones in your head are changing and smashing, and to go from being supported for 9 months without having to do anything, to having to learn how to breathe on your own, to learning how to eat when you were eating through your umbilical cord prior, and now it's time to learn how to eat and digest. So there's a lot to learn. So that can be a little traumatic. So having the most gentle experience for a new life coming in is very, very wise and loving. But at the doctors and hospitals, they have systems of torturing babies, of stabbing them with needles, injecting them with poisons, cutting off genitalia, parts of the genitalia, slapping babies, manipulating their bodies in harmful ways, taking them from the mother, cutting the umbilical cord too soon, not allowing bonding with the mother and the father. There's so many things that produce traumas at the birth. And when the child takes these experiences without having verbal thoughts, it forms pre-verbal thoughts about things. And these pre-verbal thoughts can begin to run and sabotage our lives. Thoughts like, me being here causes pain. Me being here causes women pain.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get enough. The world is suffering. The universe is not a safe place to be. And if you look at religion, if you look at the cliches of the world, most of them are these birth trauma thoughts and death urge thoughts that have become common beliefs, and they're accepted as wisdom. They're accepted as this is the way it is. This is wisdom. And I mentioned death urge because the only way back to the womb is through death of the physical body. And people are long to get back to the womb. And so the death urge and the birth trauma are linked together, which are the cycle of birth and death, which is the yoga or tantra systems are said to help break that cycle.
You think that's linked to some of the suicides, even what we're seeing in the media now, and some of the people that we've all looked up to, even musically? Yeah. And them just wanting that release and wanting that escape, and maybe they've tried pharmaceuticals for that escape and release, and it only takes you so far, man. So without having, these different techniques and being really comfortable, because we would look at those people and think that they're successful, right? Mm-hmm. But within, we don't know what they're dealing with, what they're going through, the contentment and stuff like that. So you think that's kind of probably linked as well to the suicide rates and stuff, at least the over infatuation with it as well, until you finally do it.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like to speak with absolute certainty,
mm-hmm.
but according to the model that I use to view the world, it definitely is.
Mm-hmm. We're going to go ahead and go to the phone lines. We do have some callers here. Like I said, the phone lines are open. Give us a call. It'll let us know that you're in queue. We have a call coming in from someone in Texas. You're on the line with Illuminati Congo. You got a question?
Yeah, I had a question about what the gray alien I was talking about earlier. Could these possibly be thought forms that manifest? We're going through like sleep paralysis. It's something I've struggled with for a very long time, and just wanted you guys to touch bases on that.
Yeah, they are definitely thought forms, because all things are coming from a thought. And any entities that may be terrorizing us, that seem like it's happening in an astral world or in a dream world or in something, or like an abduction that we can't provide any type of physical evidence for. It's a good possibility that these entities have took form in the astral world. The astral world is just the world of the mind. It is, there's no difference between mind and the astral world. And these beings have taken fear. They sort of feed on fear. If you saw It or are familiar with It.
Great movie.
Yeah, and how it feeds on fear. In the same way, the astral beings, they can actually become tangible, but they're not, it's not like they're separate from us. There's only one of us here, and that's the Supreme Source in many forms. And so when we're looking at any type of entity, that is still the underlying basis of it.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I know Aleister Crowley had written a book before. What he said, he did some sort of seance over in Egypt, and he summoned something. He drew it. He called it Lamb. But later on, if you read more, he says that it was him. It was a reflection of himself. It was almost like a self-portrait, if you will, I guess. Maybe it's the negative aspect or something projected forward. I'm not sure. It's just something that's puzzled me for a very long time.
Yeah, and I think the way to make peace with those things is to not offer resistance or any fear. Does that mean that you don't effectively protect yourself? No, you can. But the issue is, when we seek protection, that means that we fear something. And if you're seeking protection, then that fear will still attract it to you. So it's a very sensitive area to once we start experiencing actual encounters with any type of entities. It's not something that I have experience with, where I can tell you or tell anyone any type of advice on how to proceed. But I do know that more fear is never the solution, and usually more love and compassion and understanding is. We don't want to be loving and compassionate to our detriment, though.
Who we speaking with, caller? What's your name?
My name is Manny. Emmanuel.
Yeah, man. Thanks for calling, brother.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, man. Peace out.
All right, shalom.
Yeah, and Emmanuel, just to put the little information, that means El is with us, or God is with us.
Yeah, God with us. So talking about that, man, so much to be said when it comes to entities and the astral realm and those worlds. And so essentially, anything that you can fathom is real. Whether we have people who are into many different fields that we will never even know exist in our lifetime because we haven't given it the energy and the attention that it needs to study it and the time. And the same for us. We know things that others will never know unless we try to communicate it through song and through music and through intrigue and creativity and try to bring life or try to bring those entities out into these realms in some way that have impacted us. And this goes on many different levels, thought patterns, emotional entities that come through of beings of peace and love, and they transmute that. And it gets really deep. And I definitely go back to the different holy books and ancient writings about how they dealt with them and how they had interactions with it. And I don't want to really get into too much of it, but there's a lot of detail. And one precious book that's so awesome is it's called the Clementine Homilies, which is the recognitions of Clement, who was a disciple of Peter and Barnabas from the scriptures. And he talks so much about dealing with these entities and how they exist, what gives them power. And a lot of times his focus is on like the negative stuff. We don't hear too much information about the good ones and how we should entertain them, and how the Bible says entertain angels unaware, these angelic messengers and hosts. But so all of this stuff is real. We won't know it unless we study it and give ourselves to it, or we have a sudden interaction where we're approached by a being or an alien, if some want to call them, and things like that. Totally real. So people who give themselves over to it, they find it. And the universe is in such a way where you're talking about creativity of the mind. Like whatever you're looking for, you're going to find it. That's universal. That's totally real. Even in the Bible, like I gave two complete opposite ends of the spectrum on the prosperity end of the people who read the Bible, and they say that you're supposed to be rich and blessed beyond measure. The wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. So all of Donald Trump's wealth belongs to you. Like they believe this. Like this is what they believe, you know. And then there's other people who say you're not supposed to own anything, that all righteous people should sign a vow of poverty and not own anything. And both of these camps have scriptures to back up their belief system, and they have followers, and it's a huge thing. So whatever you're looking for, even in the Bible, you'll find it. There's like white supremacy in the Bible. I've been around those people who preach white supremacy. I've been around the Hebrew Israelites who want to enslave all white people and believe that that's what the Christ is coming back to do, to enslave all white people. And as you have led into captivity, so shall you be led into captivity. And these are realms of thinking that you would not know exist unless you studied it. But to that person, it's the real deal. So when we're communicating with entities, when somebody is studying fairies and the fairy kingdom and gnomes, and training their eye on how to see these beings and communicate with them and how they operate, how they affect our lives, people have successfully done this, and they're able to go out and teach you how to see them and how to feel them and see the wind blow through the trees and to make the leaves blow and to get signs from this realm. And to the average person that's far out, it's almost make-believe. And so some of the things we talk about are even laughed at by just the lay people who have no concern for that or no infatuation with it. And I want to kind of segue it just into talking about if it's real to you and your experience, because I remember reading when I was a teenager, I was into a lot of the dark stuff, some of the dark witchcraft on how to put hexes and curses on people. I was really big into the Satanic Bible. And I would do some of the rituals as far as like trying to summon Azazel and some of the fallen angels that were techniques on how to do that. I would try to do it as a teenager, exploring those realms. And it was scary, and there was a lot of stuff that happened. Like I tapped into those realms, something touched back. But there was another book that scared me more than the Satanic Bible, and that was the Necronomicon. So we had a version of the Necronomicon that most people can get, and we know that the book, the movie Evil Dead is based off of the Necronomicon. It has some dealings with that. But to read some of the rituals in there and the entities that would come through these rituals for you to do, we were scared to death to try them. Like it talks about going into the woods and making a blood covenant and cutting yourself and then making sure you're alone and these beings will appear to you. And like it was the real deal, but we were scared to death to try it because some of it just seemed malicious or whatever, right? But then the more research you do, you find out that H.P. Lovecraft wrote novels and he made a lot of this stuff up. And it wasn't even to be taken serious as something to go out and do, but it was just like almost like this really in-depth novel or comic or something. It was just that's what he did. But to me, it scared me, and to me, reading that stuff and taking it literal, it became real to me, even though that this person just brought it out of the ether, out of the astral realms, and made it up as he went, which maybe could be said for all the holy books or all the writings that we have, but we birth everything out of those realms. And so just talking about how those things are real to some people, and then how they influence us, and how we have to go there. Man, people, it has traces and births schizophrenia, and I dealt with that. I dealt with that on a crazy level, which is what led me to the Christian church to try to get some freedom as a teenager, man. So talk a little bit about that, man. Just about, I know you said a little bit about like those things that we fear, to not really feed into the fear and not really try to entertain it. But there's something that you've helped me with in the past a little bit, maybe not even knowing, but the notion of demons and evil spirits from the Christian tradition, about how people want to get rid of them, and we help people get rid of them and overcome and forgive and move on, because they could put you in a really weird place of schizophrenia, of paranoia, and do some really detrimental things. But you've taught me how to make peace with those entities, and to understand that we have to learn from them, and that they're not the bad guys. And when we understand the fullness of the tradition of the Bible, it even talks about how God allows that these evil entities, the Bible says evil angels, it calls them that, to come and to buffet you and to teach you and prepare you. So talk a little bit about that, man. I know that's opening up a huge can of worms, but there's a lot of people who just want us to snap the fingers and it be gone, but we have to learn from them in order to kind of graduate to the next levels.
Yeah, we see them and we experience if there's a lesson there, if there's something, an initiation to be had. So those, once again, I am another you and you are another me. That's for every entity, any entity throughout all creation. It's another version of me, and I'm another version of it. Hurt people. Hurt entities hurt other entities. And how do we stop the cycle of any hurt? Only with forgiveness, understanding, and compassion. So once again, I'm not in the realm of doing exorcisms, or it's not my thing. So I can't really tell people who have a lot of things going on in that realm what's going to work. I have a client who he speaks to me about some of his experiences with beings in the astral realm when he's sleeping, and they're not pleasant experiences for him at all. And all of the things that I've said, suggestions for him to do or ideas of ways to think about it, none of that has actually seemed to bring him any more peace. Or maybe that he has seemed to have a little more peace, but the occurrence hasn't gone away yet. And so I just say that because I don't have the solution for those things. I have some ideas. It looks like one of them entities is outside your window trying to creep up right now, bruh. What's going on? Got me paranoid.
I know, right? Reminds me of the old days. Peeking out the window. Man, there's a lot of commotion going on. I got dogs out there who are watching over stuff, and they're like barking at people walking in front of my house. So
maybe I hope we didn't summon some Negro Nomicons in this month.
Man,
That's Negroes who go to Comic-Con. I'm gonna stop with the comedy. We needed a small comedy segment.
Comic relief. The comic relief. Well, man, I'm not going to hold you up too much longer, dude. I appreciate you coming on, hanging out with me. We both have a lot of things in the works. I was maybe thinking of working on an EP with you, man. Me and you maybe putting out an EP, like a little 5-song deal with just me and you. So if that intrigues anybody in the chat room, make sure you let us know if you guys would like to hear that, man. Maybe we'll do something like that in the future. But we've already got some beautiful songs under our belt, man, and together and separately as well, man. You're a huge inspiration to a lot of people from the music end and then on just the healing end. And I love how they coincide and they go hand in hand. So the aspiration for healing and bringing that into the world is done through the music as well. And I remember, man, going on the psilocybin journey, and I wanted to be a healer. Like we spent some time with a Reiki healer, and then we went and did a dose of mushrooms, and it was like I just had this overwhelming urge to be a healer and want to do it for a living, and seeing how this person was being their authentic self and getting paid and doing what they love for a living. And I think that's envious. For me, it really was, but in a good way, right? Yeah. Because I have things I want to do too. So the information that comes through is that so all the things that we want, whether it's money, wealth, and I think this is what you're teaching as well, that it's not outside of us. And so for me, the prayer was, God, I want to be a healer. Like, what do I do? And the respond back was, you already are. You're doing it through your music. You're doing it through prayer, laying on of hands, listening to people, giving consultations and knowledge and love. And it was just like an aha moment that don't see any of this outside of yourself, but see it as it's already there. I've already given you everything. The kingdom of heaven is within. You don't need nothing on the outside. Learn to go within and to bring it out and to manifest it. And that's what our music is about. Illuminati Congo, John Hooks, his music. Like I said, guys, do a private session with this dude, man. Schedule us a session via Skype, and you'll have hands-on practical experience where you learn from yourself in the privacy of your bedroom. Like we've done many webinars, what we've done over the years and private sessions, and it's been awesome. And I'll record it. We got a lot of it on tape, and some of it's online too. We got some of that stuff we put together in a documentary, and at the very end, we do a session with you after a float tank experience, and it was really life changing, and we caught all that on tape. So kind of give your website, man, and just what you're working on. Just kind of plug your stuff right here at the end.
Well, it's IlluminatiCongo.com. That's Illuminati, like the thing that people fear, and then Congo, like the place in Africa that people don't really know about. Put that together, IlluminatiCongo.com. I have a new album coming out any day now. It's called 7R with my brethren Ross Arcane, and produced by Dawit Ilson and my G, the Graduate, who's my main producer for Illuminati Congo. So that's just out I don't even know when it's, but it's any day, any moment. But if you're hearing this, you can actually hit me up and be like, yo, send me a CD before they even out officially, and I will after you send me that cash.
That's awesome, man. Brother, you're growing so much. One final question before we go. I got to know, because you're growing so much and you're doing a lot of work behind the scenes, working on Instagram and creating memes. What is the power of a meme and the power of communication? Because you're taking these really deep, esoteric, vast concepts and trying to transmute them in a meme. And, and there's a lot of people responding with it. Talk a little bit about that before we go.
We're living in the meme-formation age now. The information age is done. This is the meme-formation age. And what does that mean? It means that people attention spans are very short. They don't even want to watch the hour-long documentary anymore.
Yeah.
It's like all they want is to be able to read something that's going to help them either laugh, help them get informed about something, help them look at things differently or whatever, or maybe just reinforce they stupid ways of thinking about shit that they've already been doing in the past. My stuff is mainly to make people laugh, to give people a little information, some they might not know, or to think about things in a new way. I like to, some days I'll be up at, just wake up, and then next thing you know, I'm making a meme. And it's like, why am I doing this? I don't even know. But then I'll realize I like tune into mass consciousness and be like, wait a sec. I'm sort of changing the way that masses of people are thinking about things. They're not believing that physical death is inevitable. A few people aren't believing it. Maybe a couple of the words I'm saying is helping people question victim mentality, question that there's something out there that rules over them and not from in here. And so that's why I like doing it. I didn't know it was going to go as far as it's been going on Instagram, but I also have aspirations of going much farther. I ought to be like the hood Deepak Chopra. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be that dude. Eventually, I already am in a sense.
Yeah.
And I just think it's time to expand more. And the memes help that. Memes could go viral so quickly, and you could spread some good information and really making people laugh. That's my favorite. Yeah. That's my favorite type of meme. Like the deep ones is cool. The ones with info is cool if it's valuable info. But laughter, lightheartedness, that's according to the Kemetic philosophy. That's how you enter is the kingdom, and that's the way you stay there in eternal life is with a light heart. Ma'at weighs your heart, and if it weighs heavier than a feather, then you got to learn about lightheartedness again.
Yeah, I just dropped that in my new song that's available on Patreon. You guys go check that out. I talked a little bit about that, but yeah, man. I think that it's so important because like some people take themselves too seriously. We know religious people and of any sect. I mean, there's the zealots who they take themselves and their way of thinking to be the only way of thinking, and they take themselves too seriously. And sometimes we got to make fun of it. Sometimes we got to poke fun of it. And even the stuff that we don't, even the stuff that we believe, we got to kind of make fun of it and mock it a little bit.
That's the most important one to make fun of.
Exactly.
I love making fun of Rastas. Rastas deserve to be made fun of because they be on some really weird shit. Niggas be telling me, give thanks. Man, why you keep telling me give thanks? You give thanks. How about we all give thanks together, but don't tell me after I do a favor for you to give thanks, Rasta.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, but that's what I'm saying. I make fun of my own shit just as well.
It's funny, and I think it helps other people to take their guards down a little bit. At first they're appalled, and we're seeing that from the comment sections of some of your posts that are being more funny and more laid back. I appreciate it. I share a lot of it, and it's a lot of wisdom in it, and it allows people not to take you too seriously. I had to get over myself of being a spiritual guru and someone that people looked up to for spiritual information, and then when I was funny, which is a huge part of my personality, my family, my friends, I love to see them smile. I will make myself look stupid and do weird dances in my living room for my family just to have them laugh and bring a smile to their face and to see the power and the healing behind that. But to like the audience and stuff and to that I'm a regular person and I'm not just meditating all day and I have hobbies and stuff that I love to do.
Right. That you play Pokemon Go. I know.
No, I'm thinking about, hey, I caught hell over that, man. I caught hell over that. That's so funny. But I enjoy it, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big gamer, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, if people watching on video, this is my game room, man. Like, we game, me and my wife and my daughter, we're avid gamers. We love it.
That's wonderful.
We love that realm and the lore and the truth, a lot of truth in those lores as well. Where we're talking about shamanism. If you're looking at those video games and you're trying to learn about shamanism, like, a lot of those terms are legit. Like, they're legit terms that are in all of these video games and stuff. World of Warcraft, League of Legends, like, they have abilities and stuff. But if you look up the terms, like, it's legit. We're talking about ghost and the alchemy and potions and stuff, dude. All of that stuff is in the video game. So there's so much there that kind of
it's either gonna help prime you for knowing how to utilize those things in your life, or it's gonna deaden you to those things where you're like, oh man, that's just video, man, that's just fantasy world.
Yeah.
So it depends on the type of person. As long as you are seeing, like, yeah, that's related to this, that's related to this, and you playing your game as almost an extension of your spiritual practice. That's how I watch my Netflix. I watch my Netflix as an extension of my spiritual practice.
It's weird for me because sometimes it turns off and on, or there's other shows that source energies like, okay, pay attention to this. And there, man, it's been weird times of I'm watching a totally different movie than everybody else. Like every almost like when you read the Bible or you read the you know what I'm saying, the Bhagavad Gita or the Alchemists, for example, all of these people represent different emanations within your own self. And so to be watching a movie and that same energy that's in those holy books is communicating with you through the movie, and you see a character. I remember watching a show a long time ago, Josie and the Pussycats or something. It's about a girl band. And it was just on TV. I was at my mother-in-law's house. And it was just on TV watching it. And I'm communicating with an outside source to say, okay, that represents you and that represents your music career. And until you let it go, I have to refine some things in you and watch what happens to her. This is going to happen to you. Oh, see that person? That represents this. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And it's just taking everything to another level. And have seen that happen in so many times with television, man, and the media and Hollywood. And there's so much, everything is spiritual, man. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing that we do in the physical realm.
What Hollywood is, the magical, Holly, that's a magical wood. Yep. Right there. And if you understand how that wand, how it was used as a wand, that is, we could get into a whole different. I know Guy MTV, they got their little Hollywood thing going on right now where they talking about Hollywood esoteric breakdowns, but they ain't going into the word Hollywood. You see, that's what they need John Nigga for. John Nigga for be on Guy MTV pretty soon.
Hey, man, don't forget us, man. You got to come back and do a follow-up interview, man.
As long as they let me say nigga times.
You got to find another word. You can't use that word, man.
Ninja.
Yeah, you can use that. That'll work. That's what the white people say. Look, man. Hey, bro. Thanks for coming on, hanging out with me, brother. Blessing every time, and the chat room's blowing up, man. People are just showing their gratitude for you and your music as well. So,
very good.
Blessings, my friend. We'll do it again soon.
Thank you, G.
All right. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom. Hotep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Illuminati Congo, my good friend. So excited and delighted to build with him and to do what we do. Like I said, we got some new music coming out together. Very soon it will be released to the general public. But if you want to get it early and support the work that I'm doing, head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah, and you guys can sign up and check out all the unreleased music over there and hidden podcasts, all that good stuff. With that, I'm going to say peace and shalom. Many blessings to you guys. I love each and every one of y'all. Shalom, shalom.